and welcome to A Drummer's Guide to the podcast all about the things that it takes to be a professional musician, aside from actually playing your instrument, which we're going to take as a given. It's an endless task, it's an endless goal, it's an endless journey. We love it and we're very frustrated by it often. I know that I am, I'm sure you are too. So, today I'd like to talk about the importance of community. And this is very meta, obviously. And the first thing I'd like to say, obviously, as well, is to just thank the Patreon subscribers and the community that over there, that has been created and cultivated, and all of that is just a wonderful one, full of so many beautiful people. And I just wanted to say thank you for you. Your support means that I can release these weekly, and I just appreciate you so much. I really, really do. It's everything. And if anyone wants to join that group of wonderful humans, then you can go over to patreon.com/EmilyDrums. So let's talk about community. Now, I truly, no, I know it's not I truly believe, because that gives a sense of like not knowing. I know 100% in every cell of my body that I would not be sat here as a professional drummer if it wasn't for community. And that, when I say community, let's call it the drum community, but the sense of community, the importance of having a community to support me as a drummer, and then that I have in turn been able to support. And I feel like this sense of community cannot be understated, because it's so interesting to me, and I think it's so easy. And certainly when I was younger growing up, I found it so much more comfortable to be isolated. And obviously when you're learning an instrument or doing many things creative, a lot of time is spent alone in a room, often windowless, practicing and, running exercises, rudiments, scales, whatever it is, exercises, just trying to master the instrument that you've decided to take up. However, I really truly believe that this is only 50% of what you actually need to be doing, because the other 50% is about finding a community, creating a community, and being active within that community. And I just wanted to share with you my experience, because, as I say, it is the reason that I get to be here, sat here talking to you right now. So in terms of like the term community, I will choose to say that even a community of two is powerful, and I'll explain why I say that. And it's very simple, and if you've been following me for any amount of time, you will know exactly what I'm about to talk about. I was part of a community of two when I first started drumming, and my other one that made us two was Charisse Osei, wonderful drummer, one of my favourite human beings. She is currently playing with Simple Minds. She's played with Mika over the years, Kelly Jones from the Stereophonics. She played with Brian Ferry for a while. She is a beautiful human through and through. But we met each other the first day we both started playing drums, when we were 11 years old. And we quickly became, best friends does not even begin to explain it. We were like joined at the hip. We were constantly together. We both completely fell in love with drums and everything that came with it. And we would come into school together. We would practice together. We would even be in bands together. And just, it was everything to us. It was everything. And I just want to express how important Charisse was for me, and I know that she feels the same the other way around, in how we grew up. And I think we had a very normal kind of school experience in that it was awful. There was a lot of like bullying that was going on with both of us, mainly because we, were playing what was deemed a man's instrument at the time. It was very uncool. We would be chastised a lot about it. We were in a group of girls where we were clearly the sort of lowest on the totem pole, as it were. So, did not gain a lot of respect and got bullied within that group. We were often sort of put against each other, or people tried to put us against each other. But anyway, all these sorts of things. But this community of two was everything, and we had both decided that we wanted to be drummers. We already knew we wanted to play drums from the second that we both started playing, but then as time went on, it was like, oh no, we're going to do this as a living. We're going to work out how to do it. And the joys that came with this sense of community between the two of us was a safe space when everything else was going crazy, and we could both always come back to our drums and practice, and we would always meet up every morning for an hour before school, where we would go into the music rooms and we would practice. So we would start off our day like really like either if we'd have learned something the night before, heard something, or we wanted to show the other person, so we were kind of like batting off each other, which was really great. It helped with our growth and kind of growing together and exploring together, but in slightly different ways, which was amazing. Also, the accountability of especially when we got older, sort of like teenage years, of knowing that the other person was sitting on the wall waiting for you to go into school to drum at like 7:30 in the morning. I tell you what, there's not much more that gets me out of bed than knowing that Charisse was sat on the wall, especially if it was like raining or whatever, and I would be like, well, I've got to get up, even if I was exhausted, even if I didn't want to go in, even though I might have been feeling just, I can't be bothered today. I would always go in because I didn't want to let my friend down, my community down. And then obviously the bond that came with that. And when we started like playing in bands and getting experience in that, the rejection that we both experienced, if say one of us was having a bad day, the other one would pull them up if they're going, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, this is too hard, or someone's been particularly mean or whatever it was, and the other would go, no, come on, we're going to do this is our thing, we're going to do it. And just having that, and having that person that truly understands what you're going for, like what you're aiming at, and has a similar experience to you. Obviously, another great thing was the fact that we were both brought up listening to very different music, and we could share that with each other, which was really exciting to kind of get to show the stuff that I really liked to Charisse, that she would show to me, and that would extend to our families as well. So like Charisse's dad would always show us both like loads of jazz funk and all that sort of stuff. My dad would be showing us more like, I don't know, rock and Pink Floyd, or random stuff, and it was just this wonderful sort of thing that came to be, and I truly know that if Charisse hadn't been there, I would have given up. I wasn't strong enough by myself, but together we really found a way to kind of make it through, especially in those formative years when you're so influenced by outside forces and peer pressure as a teenager. We would be asked to go out to parties or whatever, but we wouldn't, or we would but only stay for a little bit to make sure that if we had like a drum lesson the next morning or rehearsal, or we needed to practice, it was like that's way more important than going out to us, or just anything like that. The drums came first. And to have someone else that truly understood what that meant and how important that was, it just became our reality. It became normal to us. So, it was invaluable to normalise that way of thinking against, let's just talk about in school, you're looking at, 1,800 other kids. For us to have the same way of thinking versus, let's say 1,798 kids, it was really powerful. It was really, really powerful. And the bond that we then created through that struggle, and mate, there were so many struggles, but we managed it, and it was really cool. And obviously that bond continues to this day, and she is she is my other sister. Like, there's no question about that. Like, and we truly understand each other on such a deep level, and it goes much further than just drumming. You know, we have a lot of similar ways that we think about things, similar struggles that we have, like, about certain stuff. So yes, anyway, that initial foray into creating a community, which at the time I didn't realize it was and how important it was absolutely instrumental in the fact that I get to be here, sitting here right now. So for that, I recognize how important community was. And then as time went on, kind of me and Charisse became part of the wider drumming community, which again, it was just finding more people that were obsessed with drums as we were, which was awesome. But then having this common understanding of what being a drummer was. And as time went on, trying to become a professional in that field, you know, it's hard, it's difficult, it is. And just to have, first of all, that other person to lean on, as in Charisse, but we were on the same track. We were trying to do the same thing. Neither of us had the information. We were trying to find it. But within the drumming community, it meant that we were able to look towards people that were doing what we wanted to do and speak to them and create friendships with them and just understand what their experience was, what we should be doing. And then equally, when things were hard, which again, they still are to a degree, you know, there's moments, we felt like that, or I should start talking about myself, I felt that I could reach out to anyone in the drumming community and just go, I'm struggling right now. Help me. Help me. What do I do? I don't know what I should be doing, if I was feeling lost, any of that. And often what would come back wasn't an answer, because as I sit here now, I realise that there aren't any answers. But what would more often than not come back would be more like, yes, this is part of the journey. That happened to me. That still happens to me. You know, you're on the right track. That means you're doing it right. You know, all these things that weren't about a fix. It was more about just a shared experience. And there was something so powerful about that, because it just meant, oh, I am on the right track. This feels hard. This feels impossible right now. But the fact that the person that I look up to and that has been doing this a long time is saying that they've had this too, or they go through this too, means that I must truly be a part of this community. And I suppose, you know, well, no, definitely that's part of the reason that I wanted to do this podcast, obviously, was to expand that community to other musicians as well, not just the drumming community, because there's so many things that are just such a common human experience, and it's awful to think that people feel alone. And I felt alone. I felt like I was the only one. I'm just glad that I felt that I could reach out to someone else that was a little further ahead in their journey, you know, a little more experienced. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I was so terrified and I just wanted to work it out by myself without having to actually interact with anyone. I think because I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed that I was not perfect all the time and able to do things, and I didn't realise that actually you're not meant to be, and it's meant to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would be doing it, right? That's just the fact, like, that's how it is. So yeah, and then in terms of like other communities, you know, things like just family and friends outside of music, so important to have that respite from always, you know, being around the thing that, you know, at the end of the day, this is my job, and I forget that sometimes because it is all encompassing. I spend my life thinking about drums and you know, the professional music world, and just the majority of my friends are in this world as well, which is fine, and I love that. But it's also important to have friends outside of that. And obviously I have a great relationship with my family. I'm so lucky. They're like, my family are the best. And Charisse's family, I count them as my family. And the Dolbears, by the way, you guys are my family. I know that you know that too. But yeah, just having that and having that support outside of that is also very important, because it sheds a different perspective on what you're actually doing, what's important, or what might be important in the long run, in the sort of more macro view versus the micro view, because it's very easy to get caught up in communities. And I'm sure you've either been a part of the being caught up or seen it, where people get very passionate about a particular point. people have arguments online in very specific communities about specific subjects, and it's like, yes, of course that's important to you and that's fine, but let's look at the wider picture here. Is this actually important? Does this actually matter? Sometimes the answer is yes, but a lot of the time it's like, no, this has just become too much of an echo chamber to kind of see the wood from the trees, as it were. So I think it's also important to have wider communities. And then another community that I've become a part of recently that I've realised is a big reason that I'm doing the thing is this boxing community. So I've been boxing since September. I adore it. It's so good. And what I realised was, like, I knew that the reason I was doing it is because I inherently was enjoying the boxing and the fitness came along with it, right, as a kind of a byproduct, which was great. But what I also realised that a big part of it was that I quickly became part of this lovely community of really lovely people that were so kind and interesting. Like, they all come from all types of walks of life. Like, there's so many fascinating people, which I love. As you know, I love meeting new people. I love learning about their stories. And a lot of these people have experiences that I have no concept of, which I adore. And I just want to understand, which is great. But I realised that, yeah, the community aspect of it is actually a really big part of it. And I think recognising that in different areas of your life are really, really important. So not just with music and professionally, but yeah, fitness, or maybe there's some other kind of area, maybe like if you're really into reading, maybe a community around that, or I don't know, self-help, or like just being, what do they call it? Where you try and be better. Try and be a better human communities. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, or like business communities or whatever it is. I think that, you know, personally, I have a tendency to isolate myself, especially if I'm endeavouring or if I'm journeying into a new area in my life. But actually, the most powerful way of doing it, and I look back and go, well, of course it is. Why didn't I notice this? Is that having a community is going to make you stick to things much longer, more intensely. It's going to be the thing that will help you through difficult times. And then in turn, you can then help other people. And I find that in boxing too, you know, the new ones that come through and I see them struggling with things, and it's not about necessarily like punches or anything, it's more about the mental side of it. I'm able to kind of help a little bit and just share my experience, and it's really nice. And obviously, like I say, in a meta kind of way, this podcast is a massive thing for me about creating a community and a sense of connection to you, to other listeners, and within like listeners, and just kind of hearing everyone else's experiences and how by me sharing mine, there is a sense of kind of support and help, even by just being understood and seen. I think that's so powerful. And I will continue to kind of do that. And in saying that, can I just say, if you are feeling like you're quite alone in this moment, please do reach out to me, because I always want to give back in the same way that the music community gave back to me when I felt alone, and I had a moment of bravery of reaching out and being vulnerable with someone, and 100% of the time they came back with such kindness and support, and I will never ever forget that, and I will always be indebted to those people. It's funny because a lot of them don't even remember, but to me it was so important, and I continue to tell them every time I see them. I'm like, you do know that you are a big reason that I am still doing this, and I appreciate you and thank you so much and I love you so much. But anyway, if you are struggling yourself, please do reach out to me or to anyone else. Just someone, because you will be pleasantly surprised, I'm sure. And just because you're struggling, it like that is part of this journey. It's part of it. It's part of the job. It's part of the job description. It's part of life. It's part of being a human. You're not alone, and you are not the first person that's been through this. You will not be the last. And, you know, you will find someone that will understand and help you through it. And if they can't, someone else will be able to. You know, I'm sure that they can put you on to someone else. But anyway, on that note, lovely, A Drummer's Guide to Community, I'm going to love you and leave you. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do share it about. Like, subscribe and share and let's build this community even further. Why not? Like, the more people we get this out to, the stronger I feel we become, and the more that we can all connect, especially on the difficult things. It's all good and well connecting on the good things, the fun things. It's the difficult things that are the meaningful things for me, and the vulnerable things that are the meaningful things for me. So, and I'm sure that they are for you too, even though they're difficult and they're uncomfortable and they can be painful, but it's important. So yeah, and if you'd like to become a part of the Patreon community, then you can if you go to patreon.com/EmilyDrums. That's patreon.com/EmilyDrums. And if you'd like to reach out personally or see any of the other things that I do in this world of being a professional musician, you can go to EmilyDrums.com. That is EmilyDrums.com. Anyway, hope you're having a great day wherever you are, whatever you're up to, and I will see you next time for another episode. All right, sending you lots and lots of love and lots of connection. All right, see you later. Bye.